sometimes you can take on too much. And so that's where I'm going to give you some advice is that if you feel, the anxiety that's in your chest, or, you're nervous or irritable, or, you're just not able to accomplish it all and you feel like you're letting everyone down, that's when you need to take a step back and you need to reevaluate what's going on in your life. Because welcome to the Unstoppable Real Estate Agents Podcast. I'm your host and real estate productivity expert, Kim Hughes. Join me as we focus on real strategies and implement real solutions designed for you to achieve major success in your business and life while getting you organized. What you may have decided in the first of the year for your goals for the rest of the year, those things can shift. Those goals can, maneuver their ways around and everything. And so what I would like for you to do is go back to your January goals and see how you look right now. What have you accomplished to date? And then what do you need to accomplish for the rest of the year? And what steps do you need to take to accomplish those goals? The one thing that we love about the summer is, the warm weather, the sun, the water, the activities, the kids all being home, the families getting together. That's all great, but you still have to work. So take a minute and look at how you can readjust your summer to fit you, not to fit everybody else, but to fit you, because you're the most important person in this part. Because if you're not 100% for anything, then you're going to fail. And you need to take a step back and make yourself the number one priority, because when you're not healthy or happy, nobody else is. So my first tip is to just reevaluate where you are today of where you thought you might be in January. You may be ahead of your goals. Great. You may be a little behind. That's fine. No worries. They're your goals. You can reestablish when you want them to be achieved. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do in the month of June is we're going to review your business plan. Like I said, go back to January, reevaluate your business plan for the year. What adjustments do you need to make? What can you take off? What made sense then, but maybe doesn't make sense now? And then just take it off. So then the next thing I want you to look at is, the market trends. In your market, not anybody else's, but yours, what's going on in your market? Is it a hot market? Is it a, middle of the road market? Is it dead? And if it's dead, then this is a great time for you to take some vacation and focus on yourself and focus on what you want to do come maybe September. Right? And then pick it up back up then. But if your markets start changing, then you need to adapt. Okay. So if you're in a hot market and you're so busy you can't turn sideways, then you need to evaluate where you're spending your time. If you are in the middle of the road, then you can probably balance it pretty easily. But if you're in a dead market, then you need to look at what's going on, stay above it, and stay informed and work on your business. But now this is maybe time that you're thinking, well, I can take off, maybe Mondays and Fridays and be with my kids or be with my husband or take a trip, a long weekend, something like that. So those are the three things for June. And let me recap those for you. So we're going to look at your business plan and see where you sit right now and what needs to be freshened up, reevaluated, and taken off, moved to 2025. Same thing with your mid-year goals. Where are you? Did you meet half of your goals? Did you meet all of your goals? Are you behind on that? And if so, then just say, you know what, I will work on my goals, but I'm going to slow it down a little bit because other things are taking priority. And then you're going to look at your market trends and see what's going on and how you can, keep things going. Like you're still going to send out your monthly newsletter. You're still going to do your videos. You're still going to get on, social media, and you're still going to do the phone calls and everything like that. But maybe instead of making 25 phone calls, you make 10. You know, maybe you break that down to, instead of doing them all in one day, you may say, I'm still going to do my 25 calls, but I'm going to break them down into 2 days or maybe into 3 days. And then that takes a little pressure off of you and it opens up your day more for other things. And then in July, what we're going to do is optimize your operations. So we're going to focus on streamlining your processes and improving your efficiency. So again, just, in the evenings when it's nice and quiet, everybody's in bed, you might want to spend an hour looking at everything and just see where you can identify problems. And then once you identify it, what steps do you need to take to solve it? Again, be very realistic with this because some processes may not make sense now and they may come off your plate. Other processes probably need to be implemented because of all the technology, all of the new things that happen on a daily basis that you feel like you're in a hamster and one of those wheels running, but never getting anything done. So take a real hard look at those processes and see how you can simplify them, eliminate them, or create them. Okay. And then let's look at your customer experience. So, what I mean by that is, I want you to kind of make an accounting of how you are dealing with your clients. How do you deal with your current clients? How are you dealing with your past clients? And then how do you deal with leads? All three of these are going to be different ways. Again, what can you do to make your customer experience to be 150%? Anything that you can do to improve your customer experience. Maybe you decide, I do pop buys, and say you're going to take off July, the month of July, because you're going to go on vacation and you've got other things going on, doctor's appointments, the kids' dentist appointments and everything, and you just really don't have the time for it. Then just don't do it. I mean, people don't expect things like that. So when you do it, it's so much appreciated and it makes such a huge significance. But if it's going to stress you out, then let's say, you know what, I'll pick that back up in August after everybody goes back to school, things start calming down in the family, and I can start readjusting to my business. So that's very important, is to always make sure that your customer experience is still there, even though you might be taking a little time to yourself. So, send out the market stats, send out that newsletter if you don't do anything else. Take a look at all of your programs. You hear me talk about this all the time. You'll hear me talk about it again in December. This is the time to evaluate what tools you have in place. What are you using? What are you not using? And eliminate them. I always say you should do this monthly, but we know nobody's going to do that. So print it out, your credit card statement, your checking account, take a look at it. Take and cross off the things that you're not using and immediately go in and delete them. Don't say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, because then you'll forget. And then next month it'll show up on your bill. So take an accounting of all of your programs, the tools that you use in your business, see what you're using, what you're not using, and what you can eliminate. And maybe those programs that you are you using those to their fullest ability? So that's something that's very, very important in your business. That'll save you money, time, and headaches, 100%. And then, so once you've done all of that, that's your July task list, is that you're going to audit all of your processes. You're going to review and upgrade or delete your tools and programs. And then you're going to look at your customer experience and how you communicate with your customers or your clients, as well as, your past clients, because they are just as important. So for August, I'm going to make a recommendation on the marketing and your networking. Now, this is a good time for you to look at networking groups in your area and see what groups you can join. I can tell you, by joining a networking group in your market is 100% effective. It's a great way to meet new people. It's a great way to promote your business. It's a great way to learn what's going on in the community. It's a great way to learn other business skills. If somebody comes in from insurance and they share something that they do, how can you use that in your business? So this is a good time to start looking at what networking opportunities are in my area that I can start taking advantage of once everybody has gone back to school and you've gotten back into a regular routine. Now, that could be something that maybe they're not open. They only take enrollment, a couple of times a year. Whatever that may be, take a look at it and make a note of it because it will be a very important part of your business to get out there and network. And then, what kind of marketing campaign do you have? What kind of email goes out? We know it's your newsletters, your e-blast for market reports and new listings and things like that. But what else can you do? What else can you do on social media that it's not all about real estate, but it's about community? And when you talk about community, that is 100%. And I'll share a little tip with you that I found over this past weekend. And for those that don't know, I do live in East Texas, and we got hit with some horrendous storms. And so, like 2 weeks ago, we probably got 10 inches of rain in like 3 days. And we had high winds, and we had tornadoes, and we just had flooding. We had everything. And, my two sons, their homes got hit. One had a tree go right through it. The other one had a tree take down their fence. Just a mess. And so one of the things that I noticed that we have in our town is called, a community board or a community group. And if you don't have one, I highly recommend it because everybody will join it. Because even though I live in a small town, you can break it down by areas, by zip code or something like that. But one of the things that I noticed that nobody is doing, which I thought this is a great tip for real estate agents. A lot of people were posting in this hometown group that, they have no electricity. They have lost everything in their freezers, their refrigerators. All the food is ruined. Their home is flooded. Trees are in my house. My car's been wiped out. The electricity lines are down. People are looking for instant help. And yes, it comes at a price. And a lot of people do volunteer and show up and help their neighbors and everything like that, which I commend anybody that does that. But one of the things that I thought about was, what if you had a list of all of the churches, all of the charity organizations, all of just basically your nonprofits that helped the community in a crisis, and just made like a real simple PDF. And you could put it in that hometown group. You could use it as an email blast. You could use it in your social media so that when a disaster does come to your area, pray that it doesn't, but it's most likely that it will. This is a place that you can point people to, or you can email it to them, or you can post it in that group. And you can be immediately right there on top of it, telling them this is where you go if you need food. This is where you need to go if you need shelter. If your kids need something, whether they need lunches every day through the week, this is where you can go. There in East Texas, we have such a huge support group for people that have hit hard times. And so what I think would be great is if you, the real estate agent, put together some kind of a resource package. And when something like this does happen, pray that it never does and that it's time that's, you're going to go back and go, gosh, I never used that, but I'm thankful I never had to, but I had it. And you can use this in situations that come up in your community or not. You may just send it out to your database and just tell them, say, hey, here's your checklist for area community resources should we need, should a disaster happen. We have really, we are not the only ones. I know that. There's other states that have been hit really hard too. But like Dallas, East Texas, Tyler, they were hit. And so I just thought, what a great way to put a resource out there, especially if you live in a market that a lot of people are starting to move into and they just don't know what to do. We had I saw a post where somebody had said, "Hey, we just moved to East Texas 2 days ago, and we've been hit, and we've lost our car through a tree fell on it. We've, we've lost all of our food." They've literally lost everything. New to town, had nowhere to turn to. So this is a great resource that you should think about and start putting together to give out to your community. That would be a great marketing strategy. And then, how are you engaging on social media? Let's take an audit of how you're doing that. How are you engaging? Are you just putting out just listed and just solds and testimonials, which are great, but what else are you putting out there? So maybe this is a time that you can start really focusing on a really strong content calendar for your social media, and then put it into place, whether you do your own social media or you have someone doing it. This is a really good time to start doing that, as well as doing videos that you can stockpile for later on. Other than that, these are some pretty significant things that you can see an impact in your business. And again, these are just tips. You don't have to do them today. But as you go through the summer and you are in these places where you feel like, I could spend some time on my business, what would I do? So each month that I've given you, June, July, and August, should be 3 things that you can do each month that shouldn't take you a whole lot of time. And so hopefully you'll take this and put it into place. But if you need to take it and, certainly print out the show notes that we give you and then save it and apply it to when you do have a slow time. Because I do know that in some markets, summer is their busiest market. And in some markets, summer is dead, because of where they are. But winter could be really a big time in your market where winter in another part could be dead. So take this advice to where you are and where you live and what's going on in your market. But I bet you at some point throughout the year, you can find time to put these strategies into place. So you go out and have a wonderful summer. See you then. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you know someone, and I bet you do, who would appreciate this podcast, please share it with them. As a reminder, this podcast can be delivered directly to your favorite device by using the subscribe links you can find in the show notes below or over at unstoppablerealestateagents.com. Remember, it takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Have a great day.